One day, in October 1960, Charles Dumont arrived in the posh apartment of Edith Piaf, the famous French singer. Dumont was nervous. He was carrying his new compositions in a briefcase. Piaf was one of the most famous entertainers in the world. But at 44 years old, her body is quite weak. Addiction and unhealthy lifestyle burdened her body. A few months earlier, she was in a coma because of liver damage. But despite her failing health, Piaf remained difficult to be with. She was hot-tempered. She considered Dumont as an average composer. That night, Piaf refused to see Dumont. He waited for hours in the living room. But before Piaf went to bed, she appeared and told Dumont that she would listen to one song. Dumont began to play the piano. He sang the lyrics that goes, "Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien." In French, it means, "No, nothing at all. No, I regret nothing at all." Piaf was captivated. She asked Dumont to play the song again. She called out her servants to listen. Dumont played the song again and again for hours. Piaf called the director of L'Olympia, the famous concert venue, to listen to the song. A few weeks later, Piaf appeared on French television. In December, she performed the song in L'Olympia. The concert helped the venue recover from financial ruin. 1 million copies of Je ne regrette rien were sold. Edith Piaf became an icon. 3 years later, she was dead. Many people believe that regrets are foolish. We should forget regrets and move on. Regrets make us feel miserable. That's why many famous icons like Edith Piaf proclaim having no regrets. I don't have any regrets. This sentence was said by Bob Dylan, John Travolta, Tony Robbins, and even Angelina Jolie. Many people around the world have tattooed "No Regrets" on their skin. No Regrets is also the title of many songs and self-help books. Having no regrets feels right. It seems convincing. The only problem is that this mindset is wrong. Regrets are part of being human. You should not run away or feel bad about it. Regrets can help you make better decisions, improve your performance, and add meaning to your life. This is proven by many studies done by researchers over the years. We will discuss more about these studies later. The goal of this book is to make you see regrets from a different perspective. Regrets are something you should embrace and use to become a better person. Why regret makes us human. We feel regret because we have two unique abilities that only us humans have. The first is that we can travel to the past and future with our minds. The second is that we can make a story about something that never really happened. For example, consider the regret of a 52-year-old woman from Virginia. She said, "I wish I followed my desire to get a graduate degree in my chosen field. Instead, I gave in to my father's wishes and dropped out of the program. My life would have been different. I would have been happier and more fulfilled. I would feel a greater sense of accomplishment." The woman has perfectly shown our unique ability to return to the past. She created an alternative where instead of following her father, she pursued her own desire. She imagined a different future where she is more satisfied with her career. Only humans can feel regret. A person who does not experience regret may have a brain condition or injury. In a 2004 study, cognitive scientists used a gambling game to study regrets. They had 2 digital roulettes, which the participants would spin with the computer. The participants could choose only one of the roulettes. They would earn money or lose money depending on the results. The participants who spun the wheel and lost money felt bad, but the participants who lost money and learned that they would have won if they chose the other roulette felt so much worse. These participants experienced regret. However, some participants did not feel regret at all. Even after learning that they could have won, they still felt okay. These people are actually patients who have damage in the orbitofrontal cortex of their brains. Here's another example. Several studies presented participants with a scenario like this. Maria got sick after eating at a restaurant she often visits. Anna got sick after eating at a restaurant she had never been to before. Who would regret her choice of restaurant more? Is it Maria or Anna? Normal people will quickly answer that it is Anna. But people with Parkinson's disease and Huntington's disease would only guess the answer. They would not clearly see the difference between Maria and Anna. The same goes for patients with schizophrenia. Because of the illness, their reasoning is affected, and they cannot understand or experience regret. Our ability to mentally time travel and rewrite events make us feel regret. We should also discuss the factors that distinguish regret from other negative emotions, like sadness or frustration. First, when we regret, we compare. Let's return to the 52-year-old woman. She may feel sad or despair because she followed her father's wishes instead of her own. But the woman feels regret because she compared her present with what she might have been if she had pursued her own interests. Second, we experience blame. Regrets are because of your own fault and not someone else's. The woman felt regret because she knew she could have made that choice to disobey her father. She could have made a different decision and action. The woman feels regret because she knows she is the cause of her own suffering. To understand better, imagine that your favorite sports team did not win the championship. You will feel disappointment because they did not win. But you cannot feel regret because you are not the coach or a member of the team. You will feel regret if you made a bet on that game. Regret is hard to define because it is not a thing but a process. Now you know why regret is a uniquely human emotion. At leasts and if onlys. It was the 2016 Summer Olympics in Rio de Janeiro. The women's individual cycling race was one of the toughest games. The race course was 140 kilometers. The cyclists have to get through several steep climbs and dangerous descents. The temperature was very hot and humid. The sun roasted the streets. 3 women excelled over the others and raced to the finish line. Anna van der Breggen of the Netherlands came first. Emma Johansson of Sweden was right behind her. Elisa Borghini followed after. They won the Olympic medals. Imagine their facial expressions. Think of what they felt after many hours of training. Charles Darwin and other scientists discussed how our facial expressions reveal our emotions. We often try to hide what we truly feel. We try to show we are okay, even if deep inside we are heartbroken. We try to pretend we're happy even though we are disappointed. But our faces betray us. The faces of the 3 Olympic winners revealed their emotions. Imagine their faces once again. Who do you think looks happy, happier, and happiest? You might think that the 3rd placer looks happy, the 2nd placer is happier, and the 1st placer is happiest. But this is not true. In the photo taken at the awards ceremony, Elisa, the bronze medalist, was happier than the silver medalist, Emma. Elisa's eyes have wrinkles on the sides. Her wide smile showed her teeth. Meanwhile, Emma's eyebrows are turned upward. She only has a slight smile. Her lips are closed. Let's talk about the concept called counterfactual thinking. It is our ability to imagine events which counter the actual facts. Counterfactuals have two kinds. The first one refers to thinking that things could have been worse. It contains the statement, at least. For example, I got a low grade on the final exam, but at least I passed the course. The second counterfactual is thinking that things could have been better. It includes the statement, if only. For example, if only I had studied harder, I would have achieved a better grade. In 2020, researchers from the University of Minnesota collected photos of 400 athletes from 140 sports and 60 countries. They used a computer program that analyzes facial expressions. The result is that the gold medalists smiled the most. However, the bronze medalists smiled more than the silver medalists. After the 2016 Rio Road Race, Elisa, the bronze medalist, hopped off her bike and embraced her friends and family. Meanwhile, Emma, the silver medalist, covered her face with her hands. She quietly went to her husband. The announcers said, "Another 100 meters, and Emma might have won." It was just another way to say, if only. Saying at least makes us feel better. It gives us comfort and consolation. I did not get the promotion, but at least I was not fired. On the other hand, saying if only makes us feel worse. It brings us stress and frustration. If only I had prepared more for the interview, I would have been hired. It would seem logical that humans will choose to say, at least more often than if only. After all, we all want to seek pleasure and avoid pain. But this is not the case. Researchers asked people to keep a diary and messaged them randomly to know what's on their mind. They found out that people say, if only 80% of the time. The only exception is times of calamity in which people say, we lost our belongings, but at least we are alive. But in our daily normal experiences, we are more likely to say, if only. That is just how our mind works. Why do we do this? Why do we hurt ourselves by thinking of our mistakes? Are we masochists? Well, regrets are important to our survival. At least counterfactuals make us feel better at the moment, but they do not improve our performance or decisions in the future. If only counterfactuals bring us down, but they are good for us in the long term. Regret is the ultimate if only. By making us feel miserable today, regrets help us to do better tomorrow. Why regret makes us better? Have you ever made a series of bad choices by investing more time, money, and effort because you refuse to accept that you are losing? You continue to work on something instead of changing tactics because you have given so much already. Have you ever tried to fix a broken relationship again because you've already devoted years to it? We are so committed and attached to something that we do the same mistakes. Feeling regret prevents this from happening. There are 3 benefits of regret. It can improve our decisions. It can boost our performance. It can give more meaning to what we do. Let's discuss these benefits one by one. First, regrets improve our decisions. Imagine that you bought a guitar which you rarely used. Now it's just taking space in your room, and you need cash. Luckily, your friend Maria is looking for a second-hand guitar. She asked how much you would sell your guitar to her. Let's say you paid $500 for the guitar. $300 is a good price, but Maria might not be willing to pay it. So, you settled for $225. When you told Maria, she accepted at once and gave you the money. Would you feel regret? When people accept our first offer without hesitation, we kick ourselves for not asking for a bigger amount. Acknowledging your regret in situations like this helps you make better decisions in the future. In 2002, social psychologists from Columbia University studied a group of negotiators. They are negotiators who had their first offers accepted. The psychologists asked the negotiators to rate how better they could have done if they made a higher offer. The bigger their regret, the more time the negotiators spent preparing for their next deal. The pain of regret slows us down. We gather more information. We study more options. We take more time to decide. Because we are more careful, we avoid making the same mistakes. A mother shared her regret in the World Regret Survey, which was conducted by the author and his colleagues. The mother said, "I screamed at my daughter when she was 5. We were on the way to school and she spilled some juice on her uniform. I was so angry and I lost control. My daughter cried and I hurt her so much just because of a stain on her clothes. I never screamed at her again. I learned from my mistake, but I wish I could go back and undo what I did." The second benefit of regret is that it boosts our performance. Psychologists often use anagrams in their research. Anagrams, or finding new combinations from a set of words, reveal about the person's mind. For example, if you rearrange the letters of the sentence "clairvoyants smash egg pools," you can get psychologists' love anagrams. Social psychologist Keith Markman gave one group of participants 10 anagrams to solve. He told them that they would be graded. After a while, Markman said that the participants only found half of the available words. He triggered regret in the participants. Markman asked them to think about their performance and how they could have done better. The minds of participants became filled with if-onlys. They felt worse than the other group, who were told to think of at leasts, like "at least I got half of the answers right." Interestingly, on the next set of anagrams, the participants who felt regret solved more puzzles and stayed with the task longer. They became more persistent and performed better than anyone else. In another experiment by Keith Markman, he asked participants to play blackjack on a computer. He told one group of participants that after one round, they are done. In the other group, Markman said that they would continue after the first round. The participants who knew they would be playing again had more if-onlys than those who stopped in the first round. They regretted their strategy and taking too much or too little risk. The first group, meanwhile, did not feel bad. They said, "At least I did not lose more money." The other group felt regret because they need to perform better in the next round. The first group did not expect to play again, so they felt satisfied with their performance. The third benefit of regret is it deepens meaning. Abby Henderson is one of the participants of the World Regret Survey. She is a 29-year-old writer. Abby grew up in Arizona, but every winter her family moves to her grandparents in Indiana to escape the cold. Both her parents are working. Abby was a quiet kid, so she enjoyed the time after school when she could be alone. But in Indiana, her grandmother always waits for her to come home and asks her how her day was. Abby was annoyed. She rejected the attempts of connection from her grandmother. Now, she regrets it. Her biggest regret was not knowing her grandparents' stories. That's why, when her father turned 70, Abby bought him a subscription to Storyworth. Every week, the service will send an email asking questions like, "What is your favourite childhood memory?" or "What do you like best about your mother?" The recipient will reply with a story. After 1 year, Storyworth will compile all the stories and print them into a book. Abby wants to know her father more. Abby said, "I seek more meaning. I seek more connection. I don't want to feel the same regret when my grandparents died. I don't want to miss a chance to connect with my parents. Life becomes much sweeter because of the bitterness of regret. We would not know how meaningful something is until we lost it. Because of regret, we would not miss another chance again. Abby had a better relationship with her parents because of the regret she felt when her grandparents died. In the previous chapters, we learned why regrets are important. In the remaining chapters, we will discuss how you can deal with regrets. Jeff Bosley enlisted in the Army at the age of 29. He is the oldest cadet in the camp. Jeff was even older than his drill sergeant. He desperately wanted to fit in. So one night, Jeff left the base and got a tattoo. He wanted to impress his comrades, so he wanted his tattoo to be a symbol of strength and courage. Jeff chose to have the tattoo on his left arm because it would be the arm he would raise when using the rifle. Jeff selected the papyrus font on the tattoo artist's computer. The tattoo he chose was No Regrets. Jeff served in the military for 10 years. After that, he worked as a firefighter in Colorado. Around that time, he and his wife divorced. His failed marriage made Jeff realize the many regrets he has in life. He regretted not finishing college. He regretted not pursuing his passion for acting. He regretted divorcing his wife. Jeff knew that the words tattooed on his arm were untrue. Papyrus was the lamest font he could have chosen. He said, "I do have regrets. They suck, but they motivate me. I like it better than people who say no regrets or I don't have regrets." Because of his regrets, Jeff moved from Colorado to California. He now works as an actor. Jeff decided to have his No Regrets tattoo removed. The sessions are time-consuming, painful, and expensive, but Jeff's tattoo looks like a bruise now. He said, "At least, I didn't choose a larger font." There are two types of regrets. They are action regrets and inaction regrets. Action regrets refer to the things you did, while inaction regrets refer to the things you did not do. What can you do about your regrets? To undo what you did, you can apologize or fix the mistake. You can also think of at leasts to feel better. Step 1. Undo it. Let's say you have slapped your friend in the face or said something bad about the dead person at his funeral. You will probably regret what you did. Action regrets come from impulsive actions that we did because of strong emotions. On the other hand, inaction regrets are more abstract. We do not feel intense emotions towards them. For example, you regret not studying hard in high school, but you are now in your 20s and you cannot go back to being a teenager. That is an inaction regret. Meanwhile, some examples of action regrets are cheating on your spouse, bullying a classmate, or insulting a coworker. What you can do is apologize. By saying sorry, you admit the wrong thing you did. If the person accepts the apology, the burden of regret becomes lighter. You cannot erase what you did, but you can improve the situation by asking yourself these questions. If you hurt other people, can you ask for an apology or do something for them? If you harmed yourself, can you fix what you did? For example, can you start paying your debts or give more effort at work? If there's no way to fix what happened, there is another chance. Step 2. Say at least. Here is the author's story. After college, Daniel Pink went to law school and he regretted it. If only he thought about it more or chose a different path, Daniel would not have struggled in his first years at work. But he met his wife at law school, and that is the good part. Daniel cannot go back to the past, but he can shift his thinking from if only to at least. He said, Going to law school was a mistake, but at least I met my wife. At-leasts don't improve our behaviour or performance in the future, but they help us feel better in the present. For example, many women in the World Regret Survey answered marrying their ex-husband was their biggest regret. But those women also have an at-least moment. They said, I regret marrying a loser, but at least I have my children. At-leasts are like pain relievers. We can take them to prevent having harmful emotions like too much anger or depression. Look at the brighter side. Think of your regrets and complete the following sentence. At least.
Anticipating regret. One day in 1888, Alfred Nobel woke up and read the newspaper. He was shocked to see himself in the obituary. He was fully alive and breathing, yet the newspaper said he was dead. It was Alfred Nobel's brother Ludwig who had died. But the journalist had made a mistake. The bigger shock was the headline on the obituary. It said, "The Merchant of Death is dead." I was a successful chemist and inventor. I invented detonators, blasting caps, and most especially dynamite, which I patented in the 1860s. I owned dynamite factories around the world, and I became a multimillionaire. Yet the obituary did not honor me as a genius or a great entrepreneur. I was described as a greedy man who became wealthy by selling people tools for killing each other. 8 years later, Alfred Nobel died. His will became a surprise. Instead of leaving his wealth to his family, he allocated a set of prizes for people who would bring a great benefit to humanity. It was known as the Nobel Prize. His idea for the Nobel Prize came from that premature obituary. Alfred Nobel did not want to be remembered that way. He anticipated regret and changed his behavior. We can look at regrets from the past and reflect on what we did or did not do. But we can also imagine our future and predict what we will regret. Then we can do something about it. Jeff Bezos is the founder and chairman of Amazon. He created the concept called the Regret Minimization Framework. In the 1990s, Bezos was working in a financial firm. He was doing great and earning a lot, but the internet was growing, and he saw the big opportunity to sell books online. I told my boss about my plan. The boss gave me 2 days to make my final decision. Should I quit my high-paying job and become an entrepreneur? That is how I thought of the Regret Minimization Framework. When he is 80 years old and looking back, Bezos does not want to regret that moment in his life. He wants to minimize the number of regrets he has. I knew that I would regret not building something on the internet. I will regret not trying, and it will haunt me every day. Anticipating regret made the decision easier for me. I quit my job and established Amazon. The author modified Bezos's regret minimization framework and created the regret optimization framework. It helps us to make better decisions based on our anticipated regrets. There are 4 core regrets. They are categorized based on the reason behind it. Foundation regrets are related to major aspects of life like health, education, or finance. We need a sense of stability in life. Thus, we need a healthy body, nurtured mind, and financial security. Other goals are hard to achieve if we do not have these foundations. Our failure to be responsible for our health, education, or finance makes us feel foundation regrets. Stability is important in our lives, but sometimes we also need to be bold and take risks. Boldness regrets refer to the chances that we did not take. An example of this is not launching a business, pursuing your passion, or chasing your true love. Moral regrets refer to bad deeds. Generally, we want to be good people, but if we do something bad, we regret it. Examples of moral regrets are cheating on a test, having an affair, or lying to your business partner. Connection regrets refer to our relationships with our parents, spouses, children, siblings, friends, classmates, or colleagues. When we damage or fail to build those relationships, we regret it. Here is how the regret optimization framework goes. You should take time and effort to anticipate core regrets. But it is not worthwhile to anticipate regrets that do not belong to foundation, boldness, moral, or connection regrets. It will only add to your worries and cause you stress. For example, you are buying new furniture or appliances. It does not belong to any core regret. The decision will not affect you in the long term. Make your choice and move on. You will be okay. But if you are dealing with something that relates to core regrets, imagine yourself 5 years, 10 years, or 50 years from now. Would you take a risk? Would you do what's right? Would you fix or build a connection? What choice improves your health, education, or finance? Anticipate these regrets. Choose the option that minimizes them. Every day, we make hundreds of decisions. Some of them are important, and others are only trivial. When you know the difference, it makes decision-making easier. Conclusion. First, you learned why regret makes us human. Only humans can use the mind to travel to the past or future. Only humans can create stories of events that never really happened. Regrets are different from other negative emotions because we compare situations and only have ourselves to blame. Second, you learned why regrets make us better. Because of regrets, we learn to improve ourselves, our decisions, and our perspective in life. Third, you learned about what you can do about regrets. You can apologize or try to fix the situation. If these can't be done, you can look at the brighter side of things. Here are more tips for dealing with regrets, especially the things you wish you did. Share your regret with other people. Tell your story. You can also write it in your journal. Be kind to yourself. Do not punish yourself for it. Reflect on what you have learned. Take a break and let yourself heal. We all have regrets. They are part of life. We hope this book made you feel better. Move on from the past and learn from your mistakes. Focus on what you can do in the present to minimize your regrets in the future.